101. Today we'll be talking more about Python Standard Library Session 2. So meet our team. So I'm Shermaine and I am an incoming freshman at Imperial College London. And with me, I have Soumya and Karen. Soumya, would you like to introduce yourself?
So hi everyone, I'm Soumya Vemuri. I'm a final year computer science and engineering student from India.
Oh, hi, I'm Karen. I'm a programmer in a research and development company. I'm currently working on machine learning, deep learning related projects.
So that's our team for Python Libraries 101. So with that, today I will be your speaker, and I'm a woman who code Python volunteer. And if you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can use the following link or just like search Shermaine on LinkedIn if you wish to connect with me. With that, let's begin our session for today. So this is today's agenda. Firstly, we'll recap what is the Python Standard Library before moving on to the modules that we'll be exploring today, which are datetime, time, and calendar. And then we'll move on with some setup and guidelines, and then we'll move on to our hands-on coding. So let's first start with Python Libraries 101. So welcome to the series. If this is your first time here, welcome. If not, welcome back. So the series will cover popular Python libraries used every day over a range of fields. Each session will begin with a conceptual presentation, followed by code walkthroughs and hands-on implementation. And sessions will be held every week at 10 a.m. EDT. So every Saturday, 10 a.m. EDT. So the series will start by exploring popular modules in the Python Standard Library. So last week we had our first session on OS and sys, and today we'll be looking through datetime, time, calendar, and following sessions we'll be looking at math utilities such as statistics, math, and random, and many other libraries coming. So the Python Standard Library will be followed by learning data visualization libraries like matplotlib, seaborn, and plotlib, and more libraries such as tkinter, numpy, pandas, opencv, and many more to come. So please continue to support us by coming to our sessions. So let's start. Python Standard Library. So what is the Python Standard Library? Python offers a lot of built-in functionality through its standard library. Built-in modules are written in C and integrated with the Python shell. The standard library is a huge collection of utilities ranging from math utilities to debugging to creating graphical user interfaces. Popularly used modules are OS, sys, JSON, random, and like many, many more. So today we'll be focusing on datetime, time, calendar, and we'll start with datetime. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the Q&A section, and we will definitely help you with your questions. So datetime. So more about the datetime module. It can be imported to work with the date as well as the time. It supplies classes to work with both date and time, and these classes provide a number of functions to deal with dates, times, and time intervals. So some example of the functions that are usually used and that we'll look through today. So first one would be the datetime now, which returns your current date and time. Date today will return today's date, and then the date where you can input your own year, month, and date, it will return it in this format. And then we also have one that is date from timestamp, so it will also return in this format. And another one which you put in hour, minute, seconds, or microseconds if you wish, and it returns in this following format. So we will try all these functions out later so that you can see how it will look like. So moving on, we have the time module. So the time module provides many ways of representing time in code, such as objects, numbers, and strings. It also provides functionality other than representing time, like waiting during code execution and measuring the efficiency of your code. So, and some examples of the functions would be time, which returns the number of seconds passed since epoch. What the epoch means is that the point where time starts. and this is platform dependent. For Unix, which is the one I'm using, the epoch is January 1st, 1970 at UTC 0, like, yep. So when I type in this function and I let it run, it will show me the number of seconds passed since 1st January 1970. So next function would be time.ctime, and then bracket, you can input your seconds. So it takes seconds passed since that epoch as an argument and returns a string representing the local time. Next one will be used quite often would be sleep. So you can input how many seconds you want that code to delay for. So it delays execution of the current thread for the given number of seconds. Next one would be SRT time, where you can put in your string and the format you wish for it to come out as. It passes a string representing a time according to a format. Next up, we look at the calendar module. So this module allows you to output calendars really nicely, as you'll see later in our collect session. It provides additional useful functions related to the calendar. By default, these calendars have Monday as the first day of the week and Sunday as the last, but you can always change it out however you wish for it to be like. So some functions that we will explore today will include calendar.month, where you put in the years and the month, and then it will display the calendar of the given month of the year. Or if you wish to see the calendar of the given year, you can just put calendar.calendar and then you put in your year, and it will show you all the months in that year. Another kind of function would be HTML calendar, which generates HTML calendars for you. So all of these may seem like really confusing to you right now because you don't know how it looks like when you run these codes, but you will be able to see it in a while. So let's leave some time for some Q&A. So, Okay, so there's one question asking, what is a library? So a library consists of a lot of classes or objects or functions. And so the one that we're exploring today is the date time library, time library, calendar library. So each of the library has its own functions that you can use. So as long as you import the certain library, and once you import it, you can start using all the functions available in the library. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Okay, I think that's it, right? Okay, with that, we will, oh, there's another one. Do you have to import the library every time you log into your IDE? Yes, yes, right? Yeah, yeah, you have to. Can you provide an example of how you would use this library? So for example, like the date time library. So it can be used to modify dates directly. So you can just like put in whatever date you want instead of having to represent it as a string in like the certain format that you wish. So like it'll be a lot more convenient for you as well. So for example, like the calendar library, if you wish to like have it presented in like your website or HTML, anything, then you can just use that library instead of having to like format it all by yourself. So all these libraries really help to make things a lot more convenient.
Maybe I can add on to that as well.
Yep.
So daytime is very convenient, especially when you're dealing with a lot of data that has like some, like for example, a record, like a purchase record, think of it as, and like they have like date, like purchase date, purchase time. So if you want to get a specific record, like from specific records from a specific time frame, daytime is your go-to library. But that's just like one of the cases, many cases you can use it. So when you dealing with a lot of like records, like this is a good library to go. back to you, Shermaine.
Okay, so I think that's it, right? I don't see any more questions. Can you download time and date library?
So I can probably answer that. You wouldn't
Okay.
have to download the time and date library. It comes with the Python installation. So all the modules that we are basically using right now for the Python standard library, you don't have to download any of them. They are built-in modules that come with the Python installation. So all you have to do is just import it. And now Shermaine will follow up with a live session. So you'll get a hands-on learning on how to use them.
Yep. So let me stop sharing my screen for a while.
I can share the collab link.
Yep, thank you. So you can use the link that Soumya just sent that we'll be using. And what you can do with that link is you can click File and then click Save a Copy and Drive so that we can all work on it together. So let me show you. Okay, so the link brings you here. What you can do is to click File and then Save a Copy and Drive. So just click it and then you have a copy in your drive. Do comment in the chat box or the Q&A if you have any questions. And if you are doing fine and you're all caught up, you can type a letter B in. Seems like everyone is ready. So we will start. So for the Google Colab, what you want to do first is to click connect. So you wait for it. So you just let it connect, give it some time. And Okay, so when it's ready, it will just show you this tick sign. Yay. So some of the list of topics that we'll be covering: date, time, and calendar. So let's start with the date time module. So you don't have to install it separately. All you have to do here is to type import date time, which is already written for you. Then you just click the play, which is the run button. So it will run. So it's actually importing. And you just wait for it to have this tick sign, means you're done importing it. So now we have our date time module imported, so we can use its functions. So some of the functions that we went through just now would be date time now. So what? So I'm just printing this thing out, and what it does, it returns your current date and time in UTC. So let me run it. So this is the current date, 31st July. And the time in UTC. Okay, and then we will print date time of just the date today instead of like with the time. So you just click the run button and it will just print out the date of today.
Shermaine,
So,
sorry to stop you.
yeah.
Could you zoom in like one or two?
All right.
Yeah.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay,
You can
sorry.
decrease it a bit if it doesn't fit on screen.
All right. Okay, so we just went through the first two. So we move on to the third one, which is just printing out whatever date you wish to have, and it returns in this format. So that's a random year, which is this year, some month. So you can choose from 1 to 12. So let's just choose 2. Okay, maybe like January, and then you can choose a date like something like this. And then ta-da, it will print out the date for you. Okay, next one is to print out the date from a specific timestamp. So your timestamp is like your Unix epoch time. So sometimes when you are given like certain data, they actually give you your date in terms of timestamp, and then you might not know what it's actually referring to. So you can use this function here to just put in the random timestamp, and then you run it, and it will give you the certain date. Is everyone doing fine so far? Okay, do type in a B if you are doing okay, and do let me know if you need any help. Okay, let's just continue from here. So next thing is to print out a certain time. So it will return in hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. So you can put in any number you want from 0 to 24 for the hours. So let's just put 8 and then any minute and seconds and your whoops and your milliseconds. So it will turn out like this. I think there is a question. Okay, Soumya is typing the answer for me. Thank you, Soumya. Okay, so with the following functions that we have tried, what we will do now is to try to write a Python script to display the various date time formats. So firstly, we will try the current date and time, current year, month of year, and the week number of the year. So here are some directives that we will usually use along with this library. And so for example, if you put percentage small a, you will actually show the short version of a weekday. So something like this. And then if it's a capital A, then it will show the whole thing. So it's like quite a lot of directives to use. So usually what I do is just Google the directives to see which one I want. But if you're using this really often, then you will be very familiar with all the directives, so you won't have to go. There are actually a lot of directives here. So you can also change the time zone and just many things. So you just change the format of your output. So first thing, so we want to be able to print the current date and time. Next thing, we want to print the current year, then the month of the year, and then the week number of the year. So as you can see, we actually used the function that we tried earlier. And then when you want to format it a certain way with the directives that you see above, you use this following line of code here. And then you put the directives like this, and it will print out in a very nice manner. So first one will give you the current date and the time in UTC. You can also, next one will print out the current year. The third one prints out the month of the year, July. And the last one actually prints out the week number of the year. So we're actually in the 30th week of the year. Yep, so you can always change the format of how you wished for your output to look like. So for example, if I want to change my month name to like a short version, so I can change this capital B to a lowercase b, and I run it, and it will actually turn out as a short version. So you can always play around however you want it to look like. So as you can see, the last one, when I use the percentage, capital W, it actually shows Monday as the first day of the week. But then if you usually want your Sunday to be the first day of the week, then you can change it accordingly. So you can actually change it to capital U. So you can always play around with the directives however you want to format it. So for the second one is the current year. So at first we use the uppercase Y. but then you look and see that's actually the lowercase y, which actually prints out your short version. So let's try doing that and see how it works out. So it actually only prints out 21 instead of 2021. So, okay, let's just show the difference. So this is how you can change the format of your output. Is everyone doing okay so far? Okay, I see a lot of B's. Okay, so we will then move on to our next one. So now we will import your time. So just run the code. Okay, so now we will look at the different functions. So first one is to print time.time. What this does is to return the number of seconds passed since the epoch, and epoch refers to, epoch refers to the point where the time starts and is platform dependent. So for Unix, the epoch is January 1st, 1970. So if I run this code, this actually tells me the number of seconds passed since 1st January 1970. So you can actually play around by using this function here. So what it does is it takes seconds passed since January 1st, 1970 as an argument and returns a string representing local time. So for example, if I change 1 to, let's say, 50, so actually show me 50 seconds after January 1st, 1970. So you can actually copy the above timing and then you paste it there and maybe like change around of and okay, and then you see Saturday, July 31st, and it's just okay. This is in UTC, so it will look something like this, and then the year. So it actually prints out today's day. Okay, moving on. Next thing we will use is time.sleep. So what this happens, what this does is it delays execution of the current thread for the given number of seconds. So for example, if you notice for the above ones, it says here 0 seconds because it runs really quickly. But if I change it to let's say, let's start with 3 seconds first. So what happens is it delays the execution of this code by 3 seconds. So you see, it actually takes 3 seconds for this line of code to run. So if you want it to like take a longer time, then you can always change it accordingly. Then you just wait. So let's wait. Yep, so it takes 10 seconds. So how is this actually useful? Because like what I'm doing now seems rather useless, right? So let's try something here. So if you want like something to print after a certain number of seconds, so it will look something like this. So just print it immediately. And then you want it to delay this execution by 2.4 seconds before printing something else, then you can do something like this. Okay, so for this library, we also have many directives like the above. So yeah, so you can just take a look at it, understand it slowly. So we will definitely be trying some of these. So for example, we have a code here where you want to format it this certain way. So let's take a look at what all of these actually means. So capital I, capital N, capital S, and small letter P. So let's take a look. Capital I actually shows you the hour in the 12-hour clock. So it only goes from 1 to 12. Next one, we have capital M, which actually shows you the minute as a decimal number. Capital S will show you the second as a decimal number. And lastly, we have a small letter P, which shows you the equivalent of either AM or PM. So, and then after that, I want to use local time. So I just run, oopsies. Right, I did not define my variable. So local time, so like what we used before. Can actually use wait, how do I get my local time? I think what we use at the start might work. Let's just try it. Oops, it doesn't. Okay, give me a moment to check this out. Soumya and Karen, do y'all know?
Looking
I
at
think it's time.local time.
Again?
I think it's time.local time. Did that work?
Oh, okay, let me just try it. Can I just do it this way? Oh, yay.
good job,
Soumya.
Soumya.
Okay, so it will look something like this. So sorry. So you just change it to time.local time, and then it will print it out. Certain. Okay, so with that, we will try something by creating a digital clock. So what this entire code does is it will keep showing the time and it will change every second. So, so you first use your local time and then your result. So you can put it in whatever format you want. So for me, I will want to use the previous format. So we put it back in here. So you can change it according to the directives above. And this would be your result. And then you print the result. And then, so I want it to print out every 1 second. So I will let this entire thing keep repeating itself every second. So it will keep printing the current time. So how this would work, it will look something like this. So keep changing. And okay, for this to stop, you actually have to stop it by yourself. So this is how you can use time.sleep. So, I mean, if you want to see the time every 10 seconds, that works as well. So this is right now, and then it will print out again. 10 seconds later. There you go. So it just does that. Let's let it print one more time before we stop. Okay. All right, let's just stop this. So everyone doing fine so far? Do type in a letter B if you're fine. Okay, so I think everyone is doing, oh, You're getting a syntax error on result in digital clock. Which line are you having the error in, Amber? Is it on this line here? So you have to change the format here because just now I put it as format, but you will want to change it according to what you want it to look like. Maybe you can copy and paste your code into the chat. Then we can take a look at it. For the result, it says local time not defined. Okay, so you have to have this line here. So local time equals time dot local time with the brackets. And then you can just use this variable in your third line. Make sure that your variable here is the same as the one you use here. So like the exact same letters and uppercase, lowercase. Does it work? Yep, you can post
Yep,
the
you can also send it into the
error in the
Q&A
chat.
chat. Yeah. Oh, local time shouldn't have a bracket after it. It should just
this
be
one
local
because
time.
you define it here.
Yeah. When you put a bracket after something, it'll think that it's a function call. So since we don't have that, we can't use it. But if you do want to use it that way, so if you
You
do
can
want to
also
use
do it
local
like
time,
this.
Yep.
So this is another way of doing it. So instead of having a variable local time separately, you can just use it directly in here. Hope that answers your problem, Amber. Okay, with that, let's move on to our last module for today. So last one that we're doing today is the calendar module. So like similar to the two above, we'll be importing it first. So done. Next thing you want to do is to type a certain year and a certain month. And then you print it out. So it'll look something like this. So you can play around with it. So it's July. So we'll print it out for you. Okay, so today 31st, it's Saturday, that's right. So you can just play around with it. And go like long time ago maybe. Yep, so you can just change it however you want. Okay, so with that playing with this line of code, then we'll move on to another one, which is to print out the entire year. So what you want to do is to print the calendar of year, I want this year, so 2021. So then you just change the thing accordingly and you print. And how it'll look like is it prints out the entire year, so every single month. So you can go so you can just try any year you want. So you know how like the Unix time starts in 1970. So honestly, I've never tried it, but let's try a certain year before that to see if it actually works. Let's take a look. Oh, it works. So I guess you can actually go to like many years before that, even though it only started in 1970, but you can always print years before that. Ta-da! So it looks really pretty. You don't have to format it yourself or anything. It just does everything for you. All you have to do is to give it a year and it does this nice thing for you. Yep. So honestly, with that, we have used many of the different functions in the 3 libraries. Anyone have any question? Let me take a look. Is there any resources that we can use to learn Python on our own in addition to these exercises? Actually, we have a beginner Python study group happening in Women Who Code Python. It happens once every 2 weeks. You can also sign up in okay, we will send you the link later, and we actually help you learn the basics of Python. But other than that, if you wish to learn it on your own, you can actually go on YouTube, watch some tutorials, or just Google online. You can actually go just search Python basics, and then it will give you a lot of links to use actually. Yep. Yep, Karen, send a link to the upcoming event so you can actually take a look at that link, and you'll see that we actually have our own beginner Python study group. We just started that recently, and we actually go through really the basics of Python. So it'll actually help you, and it actually complements with what we are doing in this series. Okay, actually, this is all for today. It's a really short session. So let's go back to the slides. So feel free to continue asking any more questions. Soumya is answering all the questions. Go Soumya. So here are actually some of the useful links. So the repository that we used just now and the Python documentation of the following libraries, you can actually use these links here. And other resources, you can actually go to the following links. We'll be sharing these slides to you as well as the Google Colab. It will be on GitHub, and we will definitely send you the link to that.
Yep. So
do
you can
join our
go...
yeah.
Oh, sorry, Shermaine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the GitHub repository that I just posted, we'll have the link to the recording once it's up over there, and we'll post it on the Slack channel as well. So you can either keep referring to the GitHub repo. We'll be posting the content as well as the session recordings there, but we'll also post it on Slack, so you can do either thing or both.
Yep. So we'll post all of our resources there. So if you missed the previous session, or if you're not able to make it for future sessions, you can just go onto our GitHub repository and just take a look at all our resources there. Yep. So do remember to stay connected with us. So join us on our social media on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, on the following social media handle, www.codepython. And we have the upcoming events for our series. So next week, we'll continue with Python Standard Library. We'll be doing collections and their tools. And then we will be doing some random math and statistics and many, many more to come, actually. So here are some of our upcoming events other than this series. So we actually have a Buddy Me Up program going on, where you actually buddy up with somebody and learn something about Python, create a project. So feel free to join us if you're able to. And then you see there's this beginner Python study group on 13 August, where I'll be learning if-else statements. So if you're interested in learning more about Python, feel free to join us there. And next week, we will continue having our Python Libraries 101 series. So I hope to see all of you there again. And with that, thank you so much for joining us today. And please join us on Slack, and we have our channel called Python Libraries 101, something like that. So please join us there, and you can post any questions you have for us there, and you can see our updates there as well. And yes, hope to see you guys again next week.